This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs.
Hey everyone, Eggman here with another top 16 breakdown. Today's is going to be over Carta Magica's Digimon Regional that happened in person at CNE this past weekend. There are 123 players, and I do want to shout out Carta for giving me these lists to give to you guys and for running the event. Also, if you guys do like these videos and these breakdowns, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. There is a bit of work to put these all together and kind of easy for you guys to kind of digest, so I would appreciate those button hits. But getting into it, the first thing you're probably seeing is all the Grandises in this. I feel like almost half of the tops now for Grandis have to have been from this last weekend. There's just so many, and Grandis has been getting like 1 or 2 tops at like the last month or so, but 6 is unheard of. Like this is like week 1 or 2 Alphamon, which Alphamon only got 1 top from this top 16, which is really interesting. But going over it, yeah, so 6 Grandises with 1 taking the event, 3 Gaiomon, 2 MetalGaruru X, a security control, Imperialdramon, D-Brigade, D-Reaper, and that Alphamon we talked about as well. So we're going to go through the list, the top placing 1 for each archetype, and we're going to start with Neil's first place Grandis. Starting off with Neil's first place Grandis, I do want to mention, again, there were 6 Grandises in this top 16, with half of them getting the top 3 spots too, which is really absurd. We haven't really seen something like that for this meta, so I think that is something unique to this event. And there are some like interesting decision points too for this. The big one I think a lot of people are already seeing is the Omnimon Merciful mode. So this is a level 7, can digivolve on top of pretty much everything that's not black or purple, but when digivolving, for each card with Mega and their traits in the Digimon's evolution cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon, then place 10 cards in your opponent's trash at the bottom of their deck in order. Instead of your turn, trash top card of this Digimon. If you do, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So this is something that could, one, potentially get 2 pops just because you can easily, do Grand Kuwagamon into Grandis. But if you're playing in a matchup where you are afraid of hitting into that security, this Merciful mode can help you there. Or even if you're just somewhere where the Grandis can do 2 swings with security attack +1, getting that Merciful mode proc to just kind of, one, be hard to clear, but also make sure to pop some stuff on your opponent's board, and doing that last kind of security check, getting them down from 1 to 0, and then you just have to swing in with presumably a rookie that you already readied up with a Mimi that you already had out, I think is a really interesting decision. So I think this is a really cool card. We haven't really seen it at all being played, and I have thought about putting it into like an Imperialdramon list too, because it can go on top of that like a Magnamon or something. So seeing it in a list like that and finished, I think is really cool. So using the Arbamon, a lot of people are still using Metal Cobbleterrymon, but from what I've heard, a lot of people just don't think it's worth it. They'd rather just have the Digi for 2 instead of the potential like reach of it being a Digi for 2 on top of a Tamer and get a rest if you Digivolve on top of itself. But I digress on that one. Lalamon, Palmon, the Kuwagamon X, and the Terriermon, all pretty standard. The rest is honestly pretty standard. 4 green member boosts and 4 Mimis, very strong. And yeah, it's really interesting to see, again, just how many of these Grandises to get the top. But congrats to Neil for being the best one of the day. So next up, we do have Jordan's 4th place security control. So we have been seeing security control doing well. And it is really interesting to see this also getting to that this 4th place in a land of these Grand Kuwagamons and Grandis. So pretty standard kind of ads for this. We are running just kind of a couple level 5s, which you both can recur off the Flame Hell Scythe. Both can go on top of the Fall Down mode are the Zackery. The Zackery is so good against a lot of these OTK decks, just because of the security attack -3 it gives to anything in raising, which means your opponent's gonna have to move something up if they don't want the security attack -3, which means you can just pop it very easily with something like an Eden's Javelin, a Wyvern's Breath, or even like a Chaos Degrade. So I think the Zackery, if you can set it up correctly, it does a lot of damage to some of these OTK lists, which is really cool. And then just kind of like the generic Junomon and 2 Advenge Kidmon, the Death Xmon, and then a couple of purple and yellow Tamers. So I don't have a lot to say about security control. It's been pretty understood, I think, for this format. But I think this is probably one of the highest placings it's had in this meta right now, so that is pretty exciting. So congrats to Jordann again for their finish. And then next up we do have Jimmy's 5th place, Gaiomon. And again, I've been really enjoying Gaiomon at this format. It's been, I'll say it's my favorite list of or just archetype for the format right now. And some interesting choices from Jimmy here, adding the one of the Ultras mode and also the Burning Greymon, which is interesting too, just because you can never get like the popping effect. I mean, you can Digivolve again on top of a level 4 if you need that extra cycle, and you get like another like thing. So that could be like a way, like you can have like X antibody on like the flip side, have like 2 sources underneath it, like 2 level 4s on top of it. So that's kind of something you can do for it. We do also have the Ultras mode from BT5, which just means you can delete one of your opponents that you want 4 KTP or less, which I guess could be really good if you're trying to pop something like a memory blocker or something, but 4K is not like too great, but it does give plus 2 KDP if you have a Greymon on top of it, so that's something. The one of the Greymons that gets security attack plus 1, as well as doesn't activate security skills, which kind of makes sense. This also, if you're able to use this to swing in for 2, and then you could do Omnimon on top to swing in for another 2, that could be like a really good kind of like OTK strategy for it. This does not, no security checks is only on this guy, so the Omnimon would have to check security afterwards, but still something. And then kind of the interesting from there. Death Xmon though, just chilling in this deck too, like why not? You can just play it, and you can Digivolve it on top of Blackboard Gray or Gaiomon for funsies too if you want to, which is really cool. And then also the X antibody, like how many level 7s are in this build? There's a lot of these guys. So but this does have a lot of protection again with the X antibody Greymon. I think that's a good add for it, so it's a cool pick for the deck as well. And then just kind of one hero, one tie, and then going for the Nokia with no cool boys in the build either. I know that's Nokia and Cool Boy are kind of fight against each other on what's the best for the deck. They both kind of do the same thing. Nokia does get the free play of a Agumon if you have it, but it is one more expensive. But Cool Boy does let you get like some more cycle, even though it doesn't find as many cards off the top of your deck. So anyways, congrats to Jimmy there for their finish. And then next up, we do have Patrick's 6th place MetalGarurumon. And again, MetalGarurumon has been kind of on an uptick for a while, and then only having a couple finishes in this is quite interesting too. I would say this is a pretty standard list too. It is the red leaning version of it as well. So because there is one a delicate plan, and then the hero and the Matt, Ashita, and Sora as well. So some very interesting tamer choices too, just one of each. Only having 2 ways to get red as a source there, I think is interesting. But we are running the Gabumon as well, which means that once per turn, reveal the top 3 cards as inheritable on attacking. Once per turn when attacking, reveal the top 3 cards, add 1 tamer or Digimon with Gabumon in its name among them to your hand, and place the remaining at the bottom. So this can help you dig deeper for your tamers if you need to find them, which is quite nice. And just kind of the standard from there. I do like the add of the MetalGarurumon from BT1 though. This is a favorite of mine. So being able to play something for free, like for like another Gabumon, that you get another draw, or like even like a Gabumon X antibody, same kind of stuff. But I think it's really fun. And yeah, congrats again to Patrick for their placement. Next up, we do have an Imperialdramon list, and this is a really interesting one too. Just with a couple of choices, specifically for me, one, the Petriform, which is by and large just another copy of Stingmon. You can just play this for 3 and then you're good to go. It does Digivolve for 2 on a green, but you don't have anything like that on there. And then the rookies, they're only 13 rookies, which is quite low for a list like this. And the VMons are just the usually we kind of have a wide array of VMons, and this is just having the Star Deck one and then the EX one as well, which I think these are 2 of the better ones. But no jamming is really interesting. Jamming VMon is not found in this one, as well as the a lot of people like the BT9 one as well, just to kind of add the flavor for it. But there's not as much of the multicolor cards for this build specifically. You also aren't seeing like Lydramon, which is really tempting to run, but with so many non-VMon rookies, it is kind of hard to Digivolve off on it. And then also the 2 Leomons as well is just like a kind of defensive option. which is cool too. So I do like the ad there. And then the kind of top ends what we usually expect to see: Hammer Sparks, some blue memory boosts, which are really important when you're only running these 13 rookies. So I think that does help you start your plays. Davis at 3. Normally I would see like a 2-3 split between like just reverse more of the Davis Ken just for the restand. But again, with this one not having the jamming Vmon or just as many of like the multicolor stuff, at least like less of the armor stuff that I like running in my builds, I think that makes sense to just have 2 of this guy. So especially since there's not as much, like without Lightramon, this is a little bit harder to proc twice too. So that's really all I have for this one. Again, congrats to Michee for their finish. And then next up, we do have Melissa's 9th place D-Brigade. Again, this has been doing quite well in the last couple of events, at least. I think it's topped pretty much most events in the last month or so. So that's kind of cool. This is I don't see anything specifically too new that I haven't seen before. We do have your usual Commandermon, 16 of them here, and then just an extra 8 more rookies with the Chinkurimon, which is such a good security hit, especially since you can't get around it with ADP or like the you can't, like ADP doesn't hit it because it's a Digimon, it's not a security or just an option card, so that's good. Huggerymon just to get some additional card draw on cycle, and also just filling up your trash so you can use your Darkramon a little bit easier. And then all your just like scary cards your opponent's kind of afraid to hit in your security: Death Xmon, Ultimate Flare, Iron Fist, Pride Memory Boost, Kongu, and then just your kind of tamers. Like Kazu is so good in this deck, just the extra gain, and then also just some cycle. Even if it's not a +1, you do need that cycle in this deck, and it does really help. So I don't have a lot more to say, but just congrats to Melissa on their placement. And next up we have Winson with a D Reaper. And I feel like I've been looking at like the same D Reaper list for like the last month, which is fine. It's understood what this list is. I think the decision points are if you're running Starmons or not. You're definitely running Death X Mons, you're definitely running X antibodies, and then just kind of a couple of high-end choices. So Horn Striker can be fine when you have a Mother and Deeper play. This Digimon just gains Rush, which is quite nice. And then also the Pilates Head, which can get some pops for something that's out with that your opponent can't, get rid of. So you can also like use Starmons to give something like -3k and then use this to help pop it eventually. So that's kind of nice. But D Reaper I think is just topping one event as well, every format or every event for this format pretty much, and it doesn't look like that's going to change. So congrats to Winson. And last but not least, we do have Ronald's Alphamon, and it's interesting to end the video with an Alphamon besides just starting with it. But I honestly don't have a lot to say about this guy either. I feel like the list for this is like 90% the same for most everyone, which just means that this is more of a pilot-centered list than a deck builders centered list. But yeah, we run the good tamers, we run not a lot of rookies since Zackery is like a little tech option here, and then we do run the decks and the not decks on both the level 4s and the level 5s, and then a standard of a 3-3-3 split between the Alpha Ariomon and the Aryukin level 7, with then also the Breath of the Gods and Kongu for some just obnoxious things for your opponent not being able to interact with you. But that is going to be it for me. Again, thank you very much to Carta for giving me these lists to give to you guys. If you made it to this long into the video and you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, you better do it. It just means like you must like my videos in some regards, so I would appreciate that as well. And that's going to be it for me. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.